Welcome to the next D Skateboard Onshape tutorials at Bryanston School. In the last video we created the fasteners that attach the trucks to the deck. In this video we're going to create the wheels and the nut that attaches the wheels to the trucks as well. So the first thing we're going to do is start off with a new part studio. So clicking on the plus sign bottom left of the screen, and then left clicking on create part studio. That will give us a new part studio for the wheel and the nut that we're going to create. So right click on part studio 1 and left click on rename, and we'll call it wheels. Now remember, although our skateboard has 4 wheels, we only need to create one, and we can bring that into an assembly multiple times. We're going to be modeling on the right plane initially, so I'm going to hover the mouse so that the right plane is selected, right click, and then left click on new sketch, then press N for normal to view directly onto that work plane. We're going to start off creating a couple of concentric circles, so using the center point circle tool, left click to place the center on the origin, left click to place the diameter, left click for the center, left click to place the diameter or circumference, and then we will dimension those. So we use the dimension tool, left click on the edge of the inner circle, left click to place the dimension, change it to 8 by typing in 8 on the keyboard and hitting return, and then the outer one will do the same, left click and place, and this one is going to be 52 millimeters, so type in 52, and we'll just zoom in a little bit so we can see what's going on. That's basically the profile for our wheel. So we're going to extrude, and we're going to make that distance 32, and just hit enter to sort of put it in. But if I hold the right mouse button and spin it round, you can see that it's come off to one side. So let's go symmetrical, tick the symmetrical box, and then left click. So that's our very basic wheel. In the C tutorial, and you're welcome if you're feeling confident with the software to follow the C tutorial for doing the wheels, we actually create the bearings and the spacer, but for the D tutorial we're simplifying this a little bit. But what we'll do is we'll recreate the slight impression on either side to allow for the sort of the bearings that are pushed in to be slightly narrower than the wheel. So on this front face, I'm going to right click, left click on new sketch, and then press N normal to, and I'm just going to pick a center point circle again and line that up with the origin. I could zoom in a bit to make it easier and just drag that out. I'm going to dimension that circle 22 millimeters, so using the dimension tool and typing in the number, and I'm then just going to remove the material that equates to the thickness of the bearing that would be left, which is 4 millimeters. So I'm going to use the extrude tool. I'm going to make that remove, and I'm going to change the distance to 4 millimeters. So type in 4 on the keyboard, hit return, and then left click to tick it. Now that recess is actually on both sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mirror the feature. So I'm going to use the mirror tool. In the past we've used the mirror sketch tool. Here we're going to use the mirror feature tool. It defaults to mirroring a part. We don't want to mirror the part, we want to mirror the feature that we did. So left click and then left click again to select feature mirror, and I'll just spin it around so you can see what's happening. So the feature to mirror is going to be extrude 2, and the mirror plane is going to be the plane that we drew it on, which is the right plane, and you can see it's come up red. If that happens, just left click on reapply the feature and then left click, and we've got our basic wheel profile. Now our wheel isn't quite as harsh on the corners, so let's just add a radius on there. So we use the fillet tool, we'll change that to 10 millimeters, and we'll apply that to the back top edge and the front top edge. Left click, and we've got something that looks a little bit more like the wheels that you would have assembled on your skateboard. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create the nut that holds the skateboard wheels onto the trucks. So let's first of all start by renaming part 1 as the wheel, and then we'll create the next part. So we're going to create a new work plane, and we can hide the wheel as well. So let's just right click on the right work plane, left click on offset, and we'll change that distance to 50. I don't suppose it really matters whether it goes behind or in front of, because we're going to hide the wheel. But tick to create the plane 1, and then we can rename plane 1 wheel nut plane or something appropriate. And then let's just click on the eye by the wheel to hide that wheel. So wheel nut plane, right click and left click on new sketch, press N to view to that work plane normal to it, and we'll create our sketch. So we're going to start off with a circle to represent the thread, and we're going to create a polygon. So inscribe polygon again and click in the middle and place it. Don't forget to select the right number of faces, which you want to be 6. Left click once we're happy with that. Let's add some dimensions. So that inner circle wants to be 8 millimeters, and our nut wants to be 14 millimeters across the flats. So select the 2 faces, left click to place it, type in 14. And as we've done before, we'll need to line that up so that we can put a nice chamfer on one of the edges of the nut. So let's create a horizontal constraint on the top one there, and that spins round quite nicely. So that's our basic shape for our nut. So let's extrude that, and we're going to extrude it 5 millimeters. So I'm just going to pull it round so you can see, and I'm going to make that 5, and there's our basic nut shape. And again, if you wanted to keep things simple, you could stop at this point, but let's try and add a bit more detail, especially as it is a nut with a nylock insert. So you don't want this nut coming off, because then your wheel would fall off your skateboard, which you don't want to happen. So it's got a nylon insert into it, so it's a special type of nut called a nylock nut or a Simmons nut. Let's add that detail onto the nut. So on this top face, I'm going to right click, left click new sketch, press N for normal to, and we'll then create the next bit of our nut. So we are going to create an outer edge of 14 millimeters. So we can use the center point circle, click on the center, and just come out until it touches the edge of the flat, and we know that's going to be 14 millimeters. So we've got that. And the inner part is going to be the same as our internal part. So we could draw another circle, but we could save ourselves a dimension and use the projector tool and just pick up on the inside edge and left click on that. So we now have our 2 concentric circles, but we've used our existing geometry to create those. And we are now going to extrude those 2 millimeters. So use the extrude tool, and it's gone in the right direction. Let's just change that to 2, hit enter, and then left click. Now the first thing we're going to do is put a fillet on this outer edge. So I'm just going to zoom out and spin it around so we can see. I'm going to add a fillet. I'm going to change that to 1 millimeter and put that on the outer edge there. And then left click, because we're happy with that. And again, we could leave that nut there if we wanted to, but let's put the little recess on it that shows where the sort of the nylon of the nylock nut is. So on this top face, I'm going to right click, new sketch, N to view normal on it, and then I'm going to draw another circle. Again, concentric, start from the middle, drag it out, use the dimension tool to dimension it, and we want that to be 11 millimeters. And we're just going to go in 0.2 of a millimeter. So extrude, remove, and then change that to 0.2 on the keyboard, hit enter, left click, and you can see we've just gone in ever so slightly. Now this is actually quite a nice grey colour. I don't know what colour your model will have come up, but I'm going to edit the appearance of the nut anyway. So right click on the part, and I'm going to edit the appearance for part 2. We've not named it. Let's give it a kind of silvery sort of metallic color, look a bit like our chrome nut, and left click on that. And so I've changed the whole part, but I could also edit the color of a face. So I'm going to right click on that face, and I'm going to edit appearance on face, or add appearance to face. And this time I'm going to pick a nice dark blue that looks a bit like the color we have on our nylock nuts. Left click, and that just gives us a nice representation of a nylock nut. It's not perfectly accurate. It's got no thread. You can't see the sort of the block of the nylon, but once that's in the assembly, you'll get the idea. Again, you can leave that as is if you want, but let's go and do what we did on the nut previously and put a little chamfer on there. So if we look at this, the top work plane is lined up with our corners. So right click on the top work plane, do a new sketch and press N, and we'll just do the same as before, but we're just going to keep it on the top surface on this one. So start with a construction line, so line and construction. We're lined up with the origin. You can just about see the line changing, and I'm going to make sure that the middle of this line isn't in the middle of here like we had last time. Not that we're going to put another line in, we're just going to chamfer the top part, turn off the construction line. I'm just going to zoom in now, and from the corner I'm going to draw a line, and then I'm going to come across, and then I'm going to go back to the corner. So we've got our little triangle, and I'm going to dimension that to be 45 degrees, and I'm going to dimension that line to be 1 millimeter, and then I'm going to do what we did before. We don't put one on this one because it's a sort of special nut, so let's revolve, remove. Our axis is going to be that little construction line, and the merge scope is part 2. It's auto selected it, so do that, turn around, and we've got our fancy nylock nut. So let's right click on there, left click to rename it, and wheel nut. And that's the end of that tutorial. We've got that part drawn now. We should be getting ready to assemble in the next tutorial. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.